Hello and welcome to this Notion tutorial where I'll show you how to build a YouTube dashboard right in Notion. That's right, by the end of it, you'll know how to pull in all the analytics from YouTube into Notion and even how to create awesome automatically updating charts like in the screenshot. Best of all, it's completely free. As always, timestamps are in the description if you're looking for something specific, and I've also included a free template for the complete setup, including pre-built automations so that you don't have anything to build for yourself unless you want to. And now, let's get started. Okay, let's find out how we can build a YouTube dashboard in Notion. So let's move over to an empty page. We're building it from scratch. If you want the finished template for free, you can find it with a link in the description. And if you want to understand how everything works, then keep watching. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a database for our YouTube videos. So let's call this my YouTube videos. Remove the entries that are already in here and set up the properties for the information that we want. So we probably want to see the views for our videos, and then for this very simplified version, let's actually leave it just at that. We could get the release date. Let's add a release date. We could get things like subscriber numbers and stuff, but yeah, for the simple version, let's just have these two properties. And then we need a second database because on the one hand, we want obviously our individual video performance, but we also want to know, well, how is our channel performing overall? So we're going to create a new database called maybe my YouTube performance. We're going to, just create one entry called all time, deleting the other two, and then again, setting some things up. The first thing will be a relation to the videos to get information from here into this database. So relation, my YouTube videos, shown both, and relation. And I'm moving quite quickly here. If you have any questions about Notion in general, or like Notion databases, relations, rollups in particular, I'm going to leave links in the description to my complete Notion tutorial on YouTube, where you can find everything. But yeah, here I'll be moving fairly quickly. So next up, we want to create now properties for our watch time. And let's duplicate this for our subscriber number, and then maybe, let's get a total views. Total views. This will be type rollup, and we're going to grab them from the videos as sum. And then lastly, we also want the number of our videos, total videos. For that, we can flip back to name and just count all. Perfect. Let's just set up a quick filter to make sure whenever we add something manually over here, it is connected to these stats. And now you can see if we add a sample video and say, okay, this one got 15 views, it will update down here, 15 and 1. And if we add another one with like 10 views, we see that reflected here. But of course, that would be a very, very inefficient way to put information in here. Instead, we want to automate it. And we're going to automate it using a tool called Bardeen. Bardeen is an awesome free automation tool that lives right in your browser. It's a Chrome extension. And the cool thing about them is that they have a really, really powerful web scraper. What is a web scraper? Well, a web scraper is a tool that helps you extract information from a website that you can literally see. So if I look at my YouTube page, I can see here that I have all the information right for all my videos. I have the title, I have how many views they got, I have the thumbnail, all these things here. But I would need to do a lot of copy pasting to get them to the other one, and a web scraper basically does the copy pasting for you. The alternative would be to access the YouTube API and get the data directly from there. That's also possible, but you need to sign up separately for the YouTube API. So for like a beginner, this one is an easier and quicker way to do things. If you're interested to also see the other way, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to cover that in a future video. For now though, let's start setting up Bardeen. Once you downloaded the app, again, link in the description, you can simply click on the icon and that will fire up Bardeen, and you see playbooks and autobooks. We're going to use that in a second. That's how to create the automation later. But first thing first, we need to set up our scraper. So we click on scraper and we say, okay, new scraper template. And the first thing it's going to ask you is, well, are you scraping from a single page or a list? A single page means, okay, you look at one YouTube video and you get the data from there. List means you have a list of a lot of individual items and you want to grab like the same sort of information from every list item. And of course, in our case, it's this one because we have a huge list of YouTube videos. So let's click on there. Let's give it a name. Let's call this scrape YouTube videos, start building. The first thing we have to do is we need to tell Bardeen what's the list. And for that we need to pick, as it tells us, any element from the list, and then after that the same element from a different list element. Sounds confusing, is fairly easy. All you need to do is click on a title from one video and then on a title from a different video. And now Bardeen knows that, okay, every row is one list item that you want to have scraped. Next up, you can select the pagination, because if you scroll down, you see that there are only like so many YouTube videos that are shown, and you would need to click on the next page to access all of them. Now the problem is that as of now, Bardeen is a little bit bugged here, and it won't recognize it's not able to handle the pagination because of the way the YouTube page is built. So in theory, you would need to go to click on pagination, go down, minimize this for a moment, and then click on the next button, and would automatically cycle through everything. Doesn't work right now properly, so we either need to scrape every page individually, which only works if you have not so many videos, or we need to go on a different page in YouTube to get all the information on one page. That's what I'll show you both ways, and yeah, just hope that they fix that soon. In the meantime, first thing we do is we now define the sort of information that we want to get from this page. So we want to get the title, and I just click on it and I say, okay, this is the video title, get data. I also want to get the thumbnail, so I'm clicking on this and I say, that's an image, please get the thumbnail. And as you can see, as I fill this out up here, down here appears the list that will get scraped. What else? We wanted the publishing date. So this is a text again, so date. And then we want also the views. Oops. Click again and grab the views. Perfect. Now we get a preview of what how that would look like, and then we just save the template. Awesome. Now, in case you have a lot of videos and it's no option for you to just like flip this to 50 and then like go through 2 or 3 pages of videos that you have, and you need to get like more of them, here's the alternative. You go on analytics and you go on you click on see more, and then you find the page where all videos are at once. Now on this page, as you can see, you have all the videos with all the views. Just make sure that you have flipped this to lifetime so that you see it actually for the whole timeline and not just for last month. But the disadvantage is you don't get a thumbnail on here. So again, right now it's a bit of a decision. Do you need to have it all happen automatically? Then you need to should use this page and do it through here without the thumbnails. Or do you say, I only have like 100 videos or 150, so it's only 3 pages I need to scrape, I can do that. Then you use the other method. I'm not going to show you how to set up the scraper here. It's just the same. You click on the two list elements and then pick the individual information that you need from it. But we are going to do something else. And what it is we're going to grab the watch time and our subscriber number from this page. So again, we click on Bardeen and we click on scraper, new scraper template. This time it's a single page because we only want 2 small bits of information. And oops, sometimes Bardeen bugs out and then we can't rename things. That's a little bit annoying. I'm going to restart the browser in a second, but this one we can just do without the renaming quickly. Let's see whether that works now. No. Okay, start building. And what we're going to grab is the watch time. So this, and the subscriber number. This. Get data, save template. Perfect. So now we set up our scraper template, and all that's left is to add that information to our Notion workspace. So let's go to Google Sheets. This will be our intermediary, and we want to set up a fresh page and just have in the first row the name of the information that we want to scrape from every video, right? So the name, the views, the release date, and the thumbnail. And then we want to create a second page where we want to get the lifetime stats from. So in this case, it would be right like watch time, and the other thing was subscribers. Perfect, and we can just say snapshot. That's like lifetime snapshot, something like that. Awesome. Okay, we restart the browser. Let's see whether Bardeen works now. So we click on it, and this time we're going to create, a playbook. So let's click on here, create playbook, and then pick the first app in our workflow. So the first thing that will happen is the scraper. So we click, select it from the sidebar, click on scraper, and then we pick one of the different actions that we can do with it. You see there are various options, and the thing that we want to do is either scrape data on the active tab. That's what we're going to use if we use the first method where we need to manually go through pagination, or we're going to use scrape data in the background if we use the second method. I'm going to show it you with the active tab one, but this one is just as easy, so you shouldn't have any problems getting that done yourself. Let's click on here, and the first thing we want to do is we want to pick the scraping template. So as you can see, I created a few. Let's pick this one, that should be it, scrape YouTube videos. We don't want to limit the number of list items to extract or the number of pages. And in theory, if you have pagination and it would work, you would want to set a custom delay to make sure that it has time to load before it accesses the next page. But again, no matter how much delay you put in there right now, it won't work, so we need to do it individually anyway. So we click on done, and then we can just say, okay, show the result, and we're going to quickly test it. So let's click on done. Naming the automation, that will be get YouTube get information from videos, and hit save. And then we're going to navigate to the active tab because that's what we need to do for it. And we are on the tab with where we set up the template. We're going to click on Bardeen. We're going to click on this one, and now we're going to get the information and see what it will return. And perfect, we see it got all the information as we wanted for that first page. We can also open it here and see it here. Perfect. So the scraper works. That means we can go back and we can say, okay, Bardeen, let's add another step to this workbook, open in Builder. And the next step will be to add this to our Google Sheets. So if you don't have Google Sheets connected here yet, you would need to click on the plus icon, integrate apps, search for Google Sheets and add it. I have it here already, so I can click on there. And I can say, okay, add rows to Google Sheet. And then I type the Google Sheet one. This one is called YouTube Analytics. And we want to add it to our snapshot one. That looks good. And then we want to say, okay, video name. That will be from the data that we scraped, the video title. You see, if you're familiar with automations, if you've seen some of the other videos, now it's just about mapping the data. So we click on views, and again, you have also a bunch of other things that we can go through in another video to have more options, but all we care about is to get the information from action 1 where we scraped it and fill it in here. So for views, we're going to go to views. For release date, we're going to go to the date. And for the thumbnail, we're going to, oops, that was wrong. We're going to go to the thumbnail. Perfect. Click done, and now let's run this workbook again. Need to navigate back to the page because we don't do it in the background, right? We do it on the active tab. We click on it, wait a second for it to load the data. Awesome. And then we click on Sheets, and yep, there it is, information on the 12 videos from that page. And now if we wanted to get it from the other page as well, we would click on the first page, right? We would click on Bardeen again. We would run the same automation again, and now it gets it from that part. So that's how you see, that's the manual process that you would go through with this one. If that's too much work to do every single time, you would instead do this method where you look at the overall ones. You don't get the images, the pretty ones, but at least you have the information. And you could obviously combine these methods, right, to get on the first time the image and then in the future only get these checks. But that's a bit too complicated for this video to explain. Okay, so now we have all our information in Excel, and that means in Sheets, and that means we can add it now to Notion. The reason we could also add it directly from Bardeen to Notion, but we want to either create a new video, right, if we already have it in Notion, or update an existing one if we just have new information. And Bardeen has still a little bit of troubles with the paving, so instead we're going to use a second tool, and that's called Make. You can also use the free account with that one, again, link in the description, but that one will just make this step a little bit easier. So we're going to create a new scenario in Make, And the first thing that is supposed to happen is we want to watch when something new happens in Google Sheets. So we're going to pick the trigger, watch rows, and then we again will connect it to our Google Sheets account. We're going to pick the spreadsheet. Which one is it? It's YouTube Analytics, yep. And then we can say, okay, which sheet name from the snapshot one? It has headers, yes. And let's set this limit high enough. You need to set it as high as how many YouTube videos you have, because otherwise it won't cycle through all of them. So 100 is enough for me. Wait a second and then run this once to pull in the information. So now we see, okay, we got all the information from the sheet in here. And now as a second step, we can add that information to Notion. But as I said, we want to only add it as a new video to Notion if it doesn't exist already. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a Notion module. And we ask it to search for objects. So we'll connect it to, the correct workspace. And then we're going to pick the right database. Actually, it's in the sandbox. So the database was called my YouTube videos. Let's go back. Let's search for my YouTube videos. Okay. Wait for it. Oops, didn't find anything. We haven't shared that page with Make yet, so you need to click. To add an integration, you need to always remember that you need to have it added to the page. It used to be called Integromat. Again, I have also a beginner video for Make in the description if you've never used it before. But now we can go here again and say, okay, my YouTube videos. Let's see where that finds it. Perfect. And we can just see, okay, is there already a video where the title equals the title that we just found? Click on OK. Oops, why is it still the red dot? Maybe just do this again. Yeah, perfect. So now it will see whether that already exists. And to just test it, we're going to just go to lowest row, copy it, because we'll always only find new entries. Go back to the integration, run the whole integration once, and now see, okay, so it found one entry, and it figured that this one doesn't exist yet. So next is we want to add a path. So we say, okay, let's get a router, and that router will either create a new item or update an existing one, depending on whether we found it or not. So for the first step, where we want to create a new item, we go Notion, create a database item, create it in, again, my YouTube videos. Wait for it to load. And then map the fields. So the database name will be the name of the video. The release date will be this date, but we can't put it in like this, right? So we need to go to the advanced options and say on the date ones, please figure out the exact date because there's some other information with it in there, right? But it's fairly easy with this module. Just go on past date, click in between here, and then add the release date information because you see it has the published one as well. Then let's go to here, make sure that it connects to our always to our stats, and then for views, let's go to views. Actually, does it work properly? Yeah, views is just a number, perfect. So here we can just say, okay, for views, add that number, please. And then again, we're going to test it. So we're going back to this one, copying the entry again, pasting it again, and then running that integration one more time. Oops, actually, yeah, we didn't even set up the filter, so we should have done this one. So we should call this like new video. It worked either way, but what we want to do is like condition if in the second step nothing was found, right? So if the page ID here does not exist, then it's supposed to take that route. Otherwise, please take this route. But we saw it actually created already the entry, and now we go in here and see, okay, nice, we have now our entry added automatically to the Notion workspace. Awesome. So that's the first part. And now let's build this out to a slightly more complex solution. Okay, so the next thing we need to add is to make sure that if the video already exists, we actually just update it. So we're going to add the second module down here, and we say, okay, please add, in case it's not a new video, so we just turn this into the fallback route again. Okay, get Notion, and then say update a database item. We're going to update again in the my YouTube videos database, search for it, and then just update the number of views. And that way, whenever we scrape the list, it will update everything there. So in this case, it would return a page ID, and all we want to update is to make sure, this should still stay connected, and everything we just want to do is make sure that the views are updated to the new number of views. Perfect. So let's go in here and test it again. We had this one, right? And now let's say this video now scored 150 views once we scraped it the next time. Let's run this again and see what happens. This time it should go to a lower one. Yep, perfect. And now it should have updated to 150. Perfect. So that part of the automation works as well. Now all that's left is to make sure that we get the images into Notion. And for that, we need to do a few things. We first need to download the image from Google and then need to upload it to Google Drive before then adding it to Notion. And that's because the link that gets created here seems to time out. I'm not sure exactly why, but when I tried it before, we couldn't just add this link. It worked in the beginning, but then later when looking at it, it stopped working. So let's just go the safe route. And to do that, what we will do is we add a new module in here. So right click, add a module, and that module will be an HTTP module to download an element from a link. So we go and get a file, and the URL will be the thumbnail URL. Awesome. Then next up, we need to add that URL to Google Drive. Click Google Drive. Opt for the upload a file module. Again, pick the connection and pick the folder where you want to add it to. I'm just going to add it to the main folder and drag it in from the previous module. Awesome. And then last but not least, add another module to create a share link. Here it is, share link. And for the file, we're going to use the file ID from the previous one. And you see there are like a lot of ones, so if you don't know how to find it, you can also just go in here and say, okay, give me the file ID. Perfect. And then we need to set the role to reader and then user to anyone, and that will create a share link that we can then add to Notion. And the way we add it to Notion is not through this module, but to another Notion module, and that's the updated page module, because only through the updated page module do we get access to the cover. And we want to add it to the cover so that we can easily access it. And we need to use the web content link. There are two links that we will get, a share link and a web content link, but that's the one that will actually render properly in Notion. Oops, yeah, and the page ID, of course, we need to pick the correct page ID. So we will pick the page ID that we just created. That was a lot and was a little bit fast. So like, oops, let's just quickly recap. We went in and we got from see, can we get it big? Can we get it bigger again? No, that wasn't it. Sorry for that. Yep. Oops. No. Okay. So what is happening? We grab from Google Sheets the information about the videos. We check whether it already exists in our Notion database. If it does, we only update the number of views. If it doesn't, we download the image from YouTube, the thumbnail, we upload it to Google Drive and create a permanent sharing link so that it doesn't disappear after a while. Then we create a database item, and then in the database item that we just created, add a cover image. So let's check whether that works. Go back here and let's grab a different video because this one is already in the database, and have it run once. See whether upload, perfect, all of that worked. So let's go in here, that's the second one. Let's open it, and it should now have a cover image. Perfect. It doesn't look nice here, but if we create now a gallery view and pick the page cover, and then we can say whether we either want to fit it or not, and then we now have the actual YouTube thumbnail in here. Awesome. So that part of the automation works. We now automatically pull in whenever we scrape new content into our database here, add them automatically to Notion, and then we calculate our total views and our total number of videos. So now all that's left is to do the same for watch time and subscribers. And for that, we again need to go back to Bardeen, and we need to say, okay, please create, don't actually need to be on here, but please create another automation, create another playbook. And this time we're going to start with we're going to use a different scraper, and we can run that one in the background. So actually, in order to run something in the background, we first need to grab the link from the background. So we navigate to our YouTube lifetime thing, make sure that it's set to lifetime, and we're going to copy this link. Then we open Bardeen and say create playbook. Again, scraper, and this time scrape data from the background. Put a link in from where we want to scrape it. Oops, and realize, okay, it bugged again, so we need to quickly discard this and restart our browser. Okay, I figured out the issue. It's only this page where, for whatever reason, it doesn't work right now. So we can simply navigate to any other tab and then build our playbook. So let's click on Bardeen, let's click on create playbook, and then we pick the scraper, and we're going to say scrape from the background, and we're going to paste the link to our YouTube studio page. Then we're going to pick the template for our scraper, and then one important setup that we need to do is we need to put the incognito window to no. Because if it uses the incognito window, that means there are no cookies, which means we are not logged into our YouTube account, so we can't scrape anything from our analytics. So that's really important to do. That also means that if you have several YouTube accounts, make sure that you're logged into the right one before you run this automation, because otherwise it scrapes from the wrong account. So let's click on done, and then let's connect a Notion action. So we click on add action, pick Notion. Again, if you haven't connected it yet, click on plus and look for Notion. Very easy to do so. And then we want to do the update Notion page in database. So here we see already two videos that it has access to. Again, because I clicked here on share here and I shared the page with Bardeen. Otherwise, nothing will show up there. So let's go back to the database, YouTube performance, and then pick the page to update all time. And then let's map. First, we're going to map our subscribers to the subscriber field. And we can't use it directly because, as you can see, this is a text field that we get scraped, but this is a number. So what we need to, and we also get this warning by Bardeen that this might be not the correct format. So what we need to do is we need to use one of these options from below and say convert the text to a number. And then we can click in it again and pick from here. Now it's the guessing game. I think field 2 was subscribers. We didn't name it before, and now it will convert it. For watch time, I already realized that I made a small mistake in the beginning of the video. I had watch time as a number field in Notion, but we actually need to put it to a text one, because if we scrape from that channel page, it gets, otherwise Bardeen gets confused by the two separators by the dot and the comma, so it doesn't, it can't really process the number the right way. But don't worry, just use for your field a text field instead of a number field in Notion, and then it will work properly, and we can fix that in the next step. So going to add here for, oops, not total videos, but for watch time, the data from field 1. Click on done and OK. Click on done, name it OK. Get lifetime stats from YouTube. Click on save. And then we can run this playbook. So let's click on it and see for the magic, wait for the magic to happen. Should take just like half a minute or so, and then we will get the information from our channel analytics page right into our Notion database. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. 485 subscribers. Let's see. Yeah, 485 subscribers and 1,193. Oops, watch hours. Perfect. Looks good. So now we have nearly all the pieces together. We managed to get our main video information first into an Excel sheet as an intermediary into our snapshot, and then from there in our Notion database. And then we have our second database for the lifetime performance where we have a direct copy. And the reason why we had it in these two steps was, remember again, because here we only want to update the information for new videos and don't want to like scrape the videos all the time. We could of course also say something that like remove all the entries here and just update the views. You could do that as well, then you could save that intermediate step. But for the beginning, I think this is like an easier way to build everything. So the last step that we need to do is that we need to get our lifetime stats from here back into Google Sheets so that we can create some nice graphics of it that we can then re-embed into Notion. Again, it takes a little bit to set up, but once everything is there, everything will run automatically. And for this step, we're going to use make again. So let's go back to make. Let's create a new scenario. And this time it will be a very quick one. We only want to do one thing. We want to check Notion. And we want to watch database items in our main workspace. In the database lifetime, I think it was my YouTube performance. Was that the name? Let's see. No, that was not the name. It was the right name, but it's not the right workspace. Let's go to Sandbox and search for my YouTube performance. Click on OK. Pull in the database this time, hopefully. Yep, perfect. And we want to do it by updated time because it will be the same entry all the time. Click on OK and then click on all here so we get the initial information, run this module and pull in the data. So now we have as our properties, we have the total subscribers and we have the total watch time, although that one is text right now, so we need to convert that. Great, so let's add another module and simply paste this into Sheets. So we're going to pick the Sheets integration. We're going to add a row to the bottom of our table. We're going to pick our file. Oops, we're going to want YouTube Analytics. We want the sheet with the lifetime stats. It has headers, the table. And then we want to say, okay, as the date, just put the current timestamp. We can format it, so we can say, okay, format date. And we can say, give me the now timestamp and format it as day, month, year. And then we want to map the total views to our total views here. Oops. We want to map, we didn't do likes, but so we skipped that. Watch time, we want to map to watch time, but we will need to do some modification. So what we need, because it's a text one here, but in make it's very easy to change that. So we simply go to the number operator and say pass number. And then we're going to add the number from our watch time. Oops, let's get it. Let's get the watch time. And then we need to also put in what the decimal separator is. So in our case, I think it was a dot, yeah. So we're going to put a dot here. For total videos, we're going to use the total video number. All of these are numbers, only the one does not work. So here's the subscribers, and that's about it. Okay, so now all that's left is that we quickly update this in here so that it actually reflects the change. So let's go to 480 for a second, and now we can run this and see whether it works properly. Okay, seems good. And yeah, we see we have a new entry. We have the watch time that's now here rendered correctly as a number. We have our views and we have the number of videos and the number of subscribers. Perfect. And you can see these charts already updated, but let me just show you how to create a new chart. That's of course very easy. If you don't know, you simply select your row. I would recommend selecting the whole one because the automation will just keep on adding the new snapshot to the bottom of this. So select the whole row and then say, okay, insert, give me a chart. That will give you a chart. You can format it the way you like it. and you can pick the layout. So in our case, for views, we want maybe a line chart, maybe we want it in a different like look. So maybe we want to say, okay, please give me a smooth line or so, whatever we want. And then there's only one final last step, and that's to embed this chart back into Notion. And for that, we're going to click on the chart, click on the three dots, click on Publish Chart, and that will, for the options are correct here, so we just click on Publish. Yes, we want to publish the selection, and this will give us a link. And now this link we can embed into Notion. And then we have an automatically updating field. Now, we can't just paste the link because this won't give us the right embed option. Instead, we need to type embed, pick the generic option, and then add the link here, embed the link. Now, we should get our, here it is, our chart from Sheets, and it will now automatically update whenever it updates here. One quick remark, this has a slight delay. So if I if we add now another row here, right, if we say, okay, the number of our videos changed, and we have now another entry here. Oops, let me just add one below. And this time we have now, as a number of views, we have, let's say, 500. Great. This will take now a second for this chart to update, so it won't be right away different in Notion. I don't know exactly how long it takes. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes. But rest assured, at least every 24 hours, this will update and then reflect the new current state of your views correctly here in Notion. Which means that we are basically done with building our analytics dashboard. Of course, it doesn't look so nice as the other one, but that's easy to change. You can do that yourself. The only thing that we need to do now is to schedule everything correctly, because right now we still have to do it manually, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to schedule our Bardeen scraping. So let's go to our playbook. This was the one where we got lifetime stats. Click on Open in Builder and add an action before. And this time it will be a scheduling action. And we want to say, okay, schedule this every day at like the same time. So let's say we always want to run this in the morning at 9 o'clock. We want to repeat it daily, every day, and we want it to never stop. Awesome. So now, every day at 9 o'clock, if our computer is running, because that's the one thing with Bardeen, it runs on your computer, so you can't do it when you're off it. So ideally, pick a time where you're always at work. Please run this automation and get the lifetime stats from YouTube. So that's all for this one. And now you see that it changed from a playbook to an autobook, because that's the difference. Playbooks are the ones that you run manually. Autobooks are the ones that you that run automatically, and all that's left is to tick this thing, and then it will be scheduled. And you can do then the same for the other scraper that you created, although that will depend on whether you use the method that scrapes from this website or the method that scrapes from your content site. Because remember, depending if you use this one, you need to, as of now, because the pagination doesn't work, probably start this one manually. But that's this part, and then the last part that's missing is this one. So here we want to make sure that we schedule this to run after the other one runs every time. So we're going to say, okay, schedule this every day at, the first one ran at 9, right? So this one will run at 10 o'clock and turn it on. Perfect. And then only scenario that's left, oops, let's save it, would be the scenario that drags the information over from Sheets to, where is it? I don't see it right now, but the automation that we set up in the very beginning, where we get the snapshot data from here into Notion, that one we would of course need to also schedule. And that's it. Now you know how to build an analytics dashboard and get all the information from your YouTube studio into Notion, and then how to create embeddable charts that automatically update at least every day everything into Notion. And again, setup takes a while, but once it's done, everything will run automatically, and best of all for free, because all the apps that you use for this are free. And with that, we are done. I know it's a lot, so if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Also, don't forget that you can download the template plus all the automations done for you through the link in the description. If this video made you realize that you need to catch up on some Notion features, check out my complete Notion tutorial here on YouTube. Next episode will release 1 week from now. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of these awesome ways to leverage Notion. See you in the next one.